Both the oath of naturalization and the oath for entrance into the armed forces require a promise to defend our country against enemies both foreign and domestic. A new exhibit at the Houston Museum of Natural Science takes a look at what that promise can sometimes entail.
We are really excited here at HMNS to have this exhibit. It's visiting from the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., and it takes a look at 9 major events in our nation's history where we were confronted by our enemies on American soil. And sometimes that was at the hands of a foreign agency, sometimes that was at the hands of American citizens themselves. But what's particularly interesting about this exhibit is it looks at what intelligence we had at the time and what did we do with that information in an effort to keep American citizens safe. I think this is particularly relevant because not a lot of Americans know, but the acts of terrorism and sabotage that are presented in the exhibit, we've been dealing with those basically since the inception of our country. So this starts in 1814 with the burning of Washington, and I think it's critical to understand where we've come from to really see where we're going. And it's a topic of conversation that we're having almost on a daily basis in this country. You turn on the news and you'll see stories about terrorism and sabotage. So I think it's important to really get that background information on the resiliency of our country and what we've done in the past to counter it.
Historical artifacts may seem out of place just down the hall from dinosaurs, but the scientist and the counterintelligence agent use many of the same techniques.
What methods do spies have to use to interpret the information they have? And that's fairly similar to what scientists have to do every day. Paleontologists and archaeologists may find an object and they have to figure out how to interpret and decipher it in some of the same techniques that we see in the exhibit. So a lot of times we see spies in the media and they're portrayed in that James Bond kind of way. They've got these flashy cars and technology and they're fairly conspicuous. And what this exhibit really highlights is, these spies have to be under the radar, and it shows some of the techniques they have to use to gather intelligence to keep American citizens safe. And so I think it kind of debunks this idea that they're really flashy and kind of stand out in society. And in fact, they have to do the exact opposite.
Russell does advise parents to consider the serious nature of the exhibit in planning their family's visit.
Well, we're recommending children ages 12 and up for this exhibition. There are some topics in here that may be difficult to present to younger children, but I think it's still a great exhibition for families. It's a great way to introduce some of this content, and it's a really interactive exhibit, and I think kids will really enjoy that aspect. It kind of puts them in the driver's seat and gives them an opportunity to interact with the space and think about if they were a spy, how would they interpret this information. We also have curriculum online for educators. So if you're a teacher and you're bringing your students for a field trip, you can access that curriculum online and that kind of supplements your experience. We also have scout classes and labs on demand. So we have a lot of educational programs that go with this exhibit. Probably my favorite aspect are the polling stations that we have throughout. So visitors can stop after experiencing each event and really think about different questions that are presented. How do you feel about certain topics? And they can put their opinion in and see what other Americans have thought about that same question. And they can also look at what did Americans think at certain periods in time? What did they think in September 2002? And they can look at how those opinions have changed over time. And I think that's a really interesting perspective.
Spies, Traitors, and Saboteurs is on display through January 17, 2016. For more information, visit www.hmns.org. For Day Trips, I'm Stacee Hawkins.